Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast, where we drink and talk about movies from 2007.
Imagine my little girl, regular.
Guys, did you see me dance?
No, you waste energy and time.
I turned penis into gold.
Are you okay?
I want to see you naked.
Surprise, dude, you got herpes.
If I did you a ventriloquist.
You're really well dressed for a shadow puppeteer.
What is he going to culturally appropriate this time?
My man. I drink your podcast. I drink it up.
Welcome back to another episode of I Drink Your Podcast. With me today is Ben.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
Emily.
Ben is really drunk today.
Nothing wrong with that. And Wesley.
Hey.
I love it. And our special guest, Rachel. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Hi.
Now, before we get started, does anyone have anything interesting in their glass?
I really want to know what Ben is drinking.
So nothing interesting, let me tell you. I woke up this morning and immediately went downstairs. I am in Las Vegas today, filming from Vidara Hotel and Spa. And it's a spa treatment for Ben here this weekend. So I've been drinking vodka Red Bulls all morning. And I came up to my room now and I've got a couple of 32 ounces of beer and a shot of Captain Morgan. And I'm just going to have some good times here.
Ben, do you remember when we went to Vegas and we did nothing but Red Bull and vodka all morning and both decided at about noon after we got some chicken fingers that we should probably go nap this off?
Yeah, definitely. That was different living. I think when we were there, we had 6 guys in one Excalibur room. Uh-huh. And now it's me and a buddy in an 800 square foot suite. So upgrading in life, living the life.
It gets better, folks.
You're really living the Joe Kingman lifestyle. I'm already.
Hell yes.
Also feeling it.
No daughters, though. Fuck that. Not this weekend.
I went a completely different direction because I chose my
to New York.
Very tried and true Bloody Mary, because this movie is like the whole father-daughter thing. And so this was the first cocktail my dad and I had together when we got drunk. We were at the State Fair in Minnesota. We got some Bloody Marys, and I still remember my dad and I were just hammered, and my mom was so pissed. So here's to you, Dad.
I thought this was going to be a heartwarming story, and you're like, This is the first time we got smashed together.
It was great. It really was.
I am drinking. I couldn't really come up with anything clever, so I thought, what better than a Gatorade cocktail?
Oh, yeah.
So drinking some orange Gatorade with vodka, but I did zhuzh it up a little bit with some simple syrup and fresh lemon juice, and then I zhuzhed it up double by doing both a lemon peel and a lemon slice.
Ooh, wow. You should have added some cinnamon to it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
And a rock.
Oh, it had lots of little rocks in there before, but now they're melted.
Oh, yeah. I have some rocks in mine, too.
Congrats for being most on brand. Rachel, what do you have in your glass?
Yeah, I am nothing if not very thematic. And I went out and bought Terramana, which is the Rock's brand of tequila. And wow. I also made the Mamarita, which is his recommendation for how to use this Terramana Blanco.
Wow.
Cheers.
Holy shit.
Yes.
I have to know how much does The Rock sell his tequila for?
Oh, it's about $30.
Oh, that's not too bad.
I almost think we have to give a Twits point to the guests just for the drink this
I'm
week.
okay with that.
Just a respect point.
Yeah, it's on. It's in.
That's
ready.
Awesome. And I don't believe we said this yet. We watched the Gameplan, the Rock daughter vehicle, family vehicle in which he finds his long lost daughter. So, wow, I didn't know he had his own tequila. That's awesome.
He does. He does everything. We'll get to that later.
You can hear the swoon in the voice already.
Yep.
Yeah. Who doesn't like The Rock? Okay, Rachel, so you know our podcast is all about 2007. What were you up to in 2007?
So 2007 is like when I started living my real person life. I graduated college in 2006. I had some temp jobs in 2006. And then in 2007, I got my first big girl job at a toxicology lab where I was pouring urine.
Living the dream.
Yeah, it was really 4 years well spent in college to go pour urine.
I mean, with your penchants for poop and pee, like
It
that really fits.
It wasn't a horrible job. No.
No.
I don't hear much toxicology with poop, Ben. Like, what?
Oh, there is.
What? See? Don't you feel stupid?
I kind of do.
Biology lesson. Meconium. Meconium is the first poop that you take when you're born, and that gets tested for drugs and alcohol.
When you're born?
Yeah, to see if you have fetal alcohol syndrome.
Got it. I was wondering if it's like because you've been smoking crack inside your mom's womb or something.
Or if it's like a more detailed hair follicle test or something. I don't know.
They can't test your poop to see who your dad is. That's not how it works.
Not yet.
Rachel knows so much about science because Rachel and Ben are both science teachers at the same school.
Yes.
So cute.
Oh,
yes.
Gotcha. So, Rachel, what about the game plan made you excited to be on the show?
So the Game Plan was actually one of The Rock's movies, and I will refer to him as The Rock forever, not Dwayne Johnson, but his movies that I've never seen before. And so I was excited to actually watch it. To be honest, when you first said the Game Plan, the Toothpick Fairy came into my mind. And so I thought that's what I was going to be watching. But yeah, I am a huge Dwayne The Rock Johnson fan. And so, I was excited to watch it.
I think my first experience of Rachel's love for The Rock was when I was walking down the stairs and her room had tons of windows in it, but she would put things in it to like block out and not see like kids peeking into her classroom. And I saw a person standing in the window and I kind of stared at them and I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And I realized it was a poster of The Rock, like a life-size cutout of The Rock. And I was legit horrified because I thought there was a person just staring at me.
Which is how I kind of was introduced to that also. I walked into my classroom on my birthday and another staff had bought that for me and set it up in my room. And I thought there was a man in my room.
Yeah, Rachel gave me a PowerPoint for when I do the muscular system in my class. And it's all pictures of The Rock and his muscles.
So I have a follow-up question. Where does that cutout live now? Is it still in the classroom or is it at home?
I brought it home. It was in my my window looking out onto our street. And a couple neighbors asked me to take it down because it scared them. So we had to throw it away. It ended up like his head was sagging and it started just it was only cardboard, right? It's not going to last forever. Started sagging, so we did have to throw it away. I also just want to point out that I did also bring my diary. And I have some entries from my diary when I was a teenager about how much I love The Rock.
Okay, stop.
She's got a segment, right?
When we do the opponent's choice, we don't care what she's been watching. We want segments from that diary read out loud.
The
Absolutely.
ultimate teaser. I've heard of people painting their house and pissing off the HOA. I've never heard of like a Home Alone cutout in the window pissing off an HOA or neighbors.
Did you ever have him rocking around the Christmas tree?
No, he didn't last that long. No.
That is by far the best reason that we've had from a guest so far for the reason that they wanted to watch this movie. So I'm very excited for some perspective when we get into this discussion.
Yeah, we got The Rock's tequila. We got diary entries about The Rock. We got a book even. Oh my gosh, I can't wait until you talk about the book. And we had a cardboard cutout of The Rock. So if he's out there listening.
I was a weird kid, y'all.
He has a book?
Yeah, I actually brought the book also. It's called The Rock Says. And I made my mom bring me to the Mall of America and stand in line for hours to get The Rock's signature in my copy of the book.
Wow.
I
That's
love
awesome.
You guys, his R, I copied and I made that part of my own signature.
You did! I recognize that!
Yes.
So officially a super fan.
Yeah, I can smell what Rachel's cooking.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Okay, if you guys haven't listened to our show before, We'll be discussing and reviewing the game plan in the first half. And then the second half is going to feature our Battle of Twits, a creative competition between me and Ben this week. Our current leaderboard is Wes at 6, Ben's at 4. Our guests are now at 3 after Rachel's drink. And I am at 1 and Emily is at 0.
Because I cashed in my prize and Wesley got me this adorable teal planner and a bunch of Star Wars stickers and dinosaur stickers. And I'm so excited.
All right.
Let's dig into the game plan, which was directed by Andy Fickman, featuring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Madison Pettis, and Kira Sedgwick.
Oh, kid, I don't do Girl Scout cookies, okay? You don't get abs like these eating peanut butter patties, you know? Go ahead. Hit me. Come on. Give it a shot. Come on. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Joe Kingman is a famous quarterback for the Boston Rebels, living the dream as the king. When his daughter shows up to meet him, he is unable to contact her mom, his ex-wife. His partying and bachelor life is uprooted over bedazzling, tutus, and horse shows.
So you'll notice right away that the team that he plays for is called the Boston Rebels, and that's because the NFL refused to come to an agreement with Disney on allowing it to be called the New England Patriots, which it clearly was supposed to be.
Oh, I had no idea. I don't know anything about football. So I was just like, oh yeah, there's probably a team called the Boston Rebels.
There is not.
Stop giving me that face, Rachel.
I'm like, I don't know anything about football, and even I know that.
Now, I have a question. Is there a Boston Rebels and Ballers? Because I know, isn't Ballers based in a fictional world with fictional football teams as well, or no?
Ballers is fictional?
Sorry, Wesley, yeah.
Oh my
it's
God.
Not real to life. Also, Entourage isn't real either.
Oh, no!
Yeah. He is not Aquaman. But no, I don't think there is. They do the Miami team in Ballers. That's the main focus of the team because it takes place in Miami. But I don't think they ever reference this specific team.
The fact that when you Google Boston Rebels, this is the only thing that comes up is the movie The Game Plan makes me pretty confident that this does not exist in any other entity.
Oh, interesting. I didn't think about Googling Boston Rebels. I just accepted that this is probably real life.
The dead giveaway should have been the logo or lack of any sort of inspiration for design on the football jerseys and helmets.
Are you serious, Wesley? Who do you think you're talking to? You're talking to Emily, who just is like, oh yeah, I know nothing about football. I don't watch football. I never look at football. I don't care about football. And so I was like, jerseys with numbers on them. They're a certain color. Okay, I believe it.
And to be fair, the Cleveland Browns, their fucking helmet is just brown. Like, let's talk about not being creative.
Yeah, and the name is better than the Washington football team.
Okay, you got me there.
I felt like all the football scenes kind of rung realistic. I think a lot of movies that have football scenes kind of suck, and a lot of these scenes worked for me on the field.
Wow.
Why? I don't actually know.
I don't know. Like when you look at other football movies, like Any Given Sunday, they tend to hyper push in with this close up on these people, and then they'll have certain cutaways where it's just the field and it's darker. You get to see the whole field, and a lot of these shots worked for me.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I do agree with that the way that they filmed it with the brightness level and kind of the wide shots made it feel like it was more closely to like an NFL broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
However, within this movie, the NFL plays that you see and the hitting is still not realistic because you're seeing a lot more heavy impact. Like the blocks that are laid out are like people like launching at other people and setting them to the ground, where that's just not how blocking is allowed in the NFL.
In 2007?
Oh.
Yes, especially in 2007.
I don't know. That was a different NFL.
Matt, do you know anything about football, or are you at my level?
No, I know about football. I mean, I don't win
Name
any
3
fantasy
plays.
football leagues, but
Okay. So he knows nothing, just like me.
He's a Jets fan, so he definitely knows nothing.
I hate everybody.
Did anybody else have trouble accepting that The Rock would be a quarterback?
I know the NFL did. Got him.
Well, he wasn't actually a quarterback in his football career in the first place, which bothered me in the film. Because I'm like, he's not a quarterback. Why didn't they put him in defense?
So I'm sure he played quarterback in high school because every good player that plays football in high school is the quarterback. Like they just take the most athletic guy and put him at quarterback.
Yep, that's
However,
true.
in college, he played defensive end. And you can see that his time away from football has not improved his footwork. Because when you see him playing quarterback, he looks very like cement footed, like he doesn't move very quickly.
So the ballet didn't help him.
Or maybe that is a character choice.
That was intentional.
By the end, he did look a lot better. But in those beginning scenes, it looked like he was kind of stomping around, not really moving well.
So, Ben, maybe you're right where that was a character choice and a director choice, and Disney is way smart.
Well, I think that would be a The Rock choice to do something like that, just like it was to have him be an Elvis fan. Like that was entirely The Rock's choice.
He also provided a lot of the opening scene props, I guess, the trophies, the pictures, the Elvis artwork was stuff that he owned.
Really?
It was.
He himself is an Elvis fan, and he went to the writers and said, can we incorporate this into my character? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Like it even fits with your Kingman last name. Like you're going to be the king.
That came first. He didn't come and say, I want to incorporate Elvis. So then they named him Kingman.
I guess I don't know the answer to that. That would make more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Way to call him out, Wesley.
I'm angry about this movie.
Wait, why?
It sucked.
No.
Well, the first act sucks, but the movie gets better as it goes on.
It doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No,
it definitely does. This is a better Big Daddy.
Whoa.
I don't know what Big Daddy is, but I
That's
don't
the
want
Adam
to see
Sandler,
that.
same vehicle.
Okay, then I definitely want to talk about that because I felt that even though I have not really seen a lot of family movies that are not animated, I'm going to be honest, I watch mostly animated films or anime when it comes to children or family movies. Watching this and seeing like this daughter changed his life kind of thing seems very common. But I haven't really heard of anything where it's like, it's a mom and the son has kind of changed her life, or even just like a female protagonist kind of having her life skewed because of children in that sort of same way. And maybe it's because obviously a mom is going to have the child in most heteronormative families. But I don't know. It just seemed really bizarre because I felt like it had been done over and over again.
Yeah, that's a good point, Emily. And a lot of the times with these family movies, when it comes to the women characters, if they want to tell a story like that, it's either the woman coming in as a stepmom or as a nanny and being changed as a result of that type of role. Because of exactly what you said, which is that typically if the mom has a child, it's the father who doesn't know about it. It's pretty hard for a mom not to know about their own child. There is a 2007 movie that is actually about a mom who doesn't know their child, which I really like. It's called August Rush, and we're going to watch that movie at some point.
Haven't seen it.
It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't seen the father-daughter relationship. Obviously, the father-son story has been told over and over and over again, and it's kind of like a tried and true classic format. But I was into the Rock and then this little girl. I liked it. I thought they had a lot of chemistry on screen, and I didn't hate her as a child actor, which is, something that happens a lot for me, particularly. Like I'm like, get off the screen, you dumb child. But I thought she worked great, and they bounced off each other, and I thought they had a lot of good chemistry.
And they do kind of look alike. I know Emily doesn't really agree with me, but I think they kind of look alike.
The daughter is part African American. Like I looked at the actress, obviously that's there, but beyond that, I was like, what are you talking about? I don't see any, like, he doesn't even have any fucking hair.
So it's the haircut that makes a child look like their parent?
No, but like facial structures too. I was like, there is nothing that ties you two together. I really didn't think they looked alike.
But Emily, he has 2 young girls right now. And if you look at his daughters, his real life daughters compared to this girl, they look very similar. I was impressed with their casting and how much they actually looked alike.
Yeah, I did enjoy that I'm going to call it a Maury moment where he says, this baby didn't even look like me. And it's like, that's a child. Come on. Like, I absolutely love that.
As someone who's constantly denying the paternity of his own daughter by saying to his daughter, I don't look anything like you. You're not mine. I definitely felt that in that scene, even though my daughter looks exactly like me.
It's just not a defense at all. You know, half of the genetics are yours and half of them aren't. So, you know, you can pick and choose what they don't match up. You know, you could be like, they're not as tall as me. That baby's not mine. It's like, get out of here.
You think you're some Roman free safety or something? This is cover 2, little lady, so stay close.
Are you okay?
Do I sound okay? What you put in those cookies?
Milk, flour, eggs, and cinnamon.
Cinnamon? Cinnamon? I'm allergic to cinnamon.
After accidentally leaving Peyton at a nightclub, Joe has to reevaluate his lifestyle, so he stops getting bad press. Peyton helps him out at this press conference. In return, she demands to take ballet classes. Although he thinks ballet is dumb and requires no athletic skill, Monique, the ballet teacher, has him join the ballet recital, and they begin to develop romantic feelings while also bonding with Peyton.
Which is what the Wikipedia said. And I know there was like a little bit of something between them, but I don't know. I didn't feel like that needed to even be there. I felt like that was just excessive. And
the rom-com aspect.
Right. And I'm going, wait a second. This whole father-daughter relationship seemed to go kind of by the wayside. Like, obviously you could see them bonding a little bit over Monique and Peyton, his daughter, laughing at Joe Kingman when he was struggling with trying to learn different ballet moves, and he was upset about all of that. But I just felt like this whole romanticness between the ballet teacher and Joe just seemed super shoehorned in.
Yeah.
I really appreciated the development of relationship between them because it got rid of the ugly Russian lady. I don't know.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
like her at all. She wasn't right for
I didn't think she was
him.
ugly. She just was not she had no character.
Yeah.
Which is true to Russians.
None of his floozies belonged.
Typical Russian.
Ugh.
No character.
I feel like the romantic storyline sits with everyone else in this call, like this entire movie did for me. It just all felt pointless. And like the whole time I was like, nothing about this is exciting. Nothing about this is new. Nothing about this is fresh. Nothing about this is worth my time. If I weren't recording a podcast about this, I would have turned it off probably before it started, which is what I had done in the past 13 years. I'm shocked to hear so much kind of admiration for this movie.
I can understand that. However, I think I take this movie in kind of the framework of the genre of this type of movie. And I think this movie is very well done and knows what it is. Do you disagree?
I'm living somewhere in the middle between you and Wes because it's difficult for me to buy in because of how not very well done the introduction of the daughter. It seems so far-fetched, and like I get that this movie's supposed to be far-fetched, but as he starts to bond with Peyton, and then they put Mr. Kingman in the ballet class, and he's just only surrounded by ballerinas. There's no other fathers in there. Like part of that just rang like, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this movie the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just going to continue to buy in. Versus like a movie like Chef, you know, where it's a father-son relationship, and they develop it from the beginning. They develop all the characters really well. It's just you have to buy in, and you have to continue to buy in, and it's like, oh, okay, this is just a fun, crappy movie or whatever. But versus like Chef, it's like a great movie overall.
I'll agree with that. And Chef is a really good example of this type of movie done very well. But also Chef is not a family movie. The focus of that one is on the adult in that one. I think I may have resonated with this one more just because I have a daughter. So seeing him grow this relationship with her, it just reminded me a lot of my own daughter. And I was able to kind of be drawn into their relationship. And because of that, drawn into the movie as a whole.
Right. And I can actually agree with that in the sense that I don't have any kids, but my own relationship with my father, we're very close. and I could see I liked a lot of the hijinks. I know we talked on Frank about how there were lack of hijinks.
Yes.
And this movie, as a family movie, had tons of hijinks. We had
Mhm.
dog eating giant spaghetti bowl, which would kill it. Don't do that. We had the blender explosion. We had bedazzling on all sorts of footballs and jackets and everything. And even though that was like very stereotypically angled at little girls, which is not like my relationship with my dad, I still felt that the way Peyton delivered her lines and the way she was kind of Joe's equal, like she even called him Joe, showed that tension in the beginning, but they still maintained that sarcastic banter as they continued through the movie. And I was like, yes, that is real life. That is kind of
love that,
where
Emily.
it stole my heart.
I think you both have just completely nailed why I don't like this movie. There is not one single thing in this movie for me. I'm not sexy like The Rock. I don't play football. I don't really like football. I don't have a daughter. I don't live in a fancy place. That makes a lot more sense why I didn't like it. So maybe I gave this movie a harsher critique than it deserves. But from my perspective, this is not for me.
And I want to jump in as well and say the benefits of this movie, or where it won me over, was when Peyton got to go into the locker room and they started kind of adopting her as like a daughter to the football team. And then the football team was trying to teach her lessons, like on the blocking sled, where she's like, I'm not big enough like you. She pushes the sled, and then there's players helping her push the sled, or they start having water gun fights and just the shenanigans that happen. I just think it really worked.
Yeah, and I really liked his teammates in this movie.
Me too.
Not so much Morris Chestnut. I thought he was kind of pushed to the side a little bit, but the really tall black guy, his name's Jamal Duff. I thought he was super funny just with his super low voice, but his like super sweet attitude towards everything. And then the comic relief of the movie was the white guy who played tight end or wide receiver.
He's in Angie Tribeca. I love him.
Yes, he's so funny in Angie Tribeca.
I was not a fan. He was super corny and cheesy, and I didn't laugh a single time that he was on screen. I was annoyed with him the entire time.
That's so
yeah, but that's what
to
this
me.
movie is, though.
Yeah, the first half hour, Wes, I felt the same as you. And then after that, it matured and I kind of enjoyed it. And Ben, to disagree with you, Morris Chestnut, he was probably like a role model for The Rock and maybe why he developed into such a caring father in the movie. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but also I kind of developed a super big crush on him. He's hot.
I know he is.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Oh, damn.
My critique of Morris Chestnut is not based around his performance. Like, his character was very much a plot service role. And that's kind of why I feel he was left in the dark. Like, there are no standout moments for him within the movie. He's just kind of there as a comparison for The Rock and his relationship with Madison to the comparison of Morris Chestnut's character and his children.
Yeah, Rachel, you have a daughter. How did you feel about the emotions between The Rock and his daughter in this movie?
Well, I will say that I didn't cry in this movie. But I did start tearing up when you guys were talking about his relationship with his daughter as dads. You kind of hope that your daughter and her father are going to bond and be close and be similar. I have a 2-year-old, and so I was trying to get her to watch this movie with me. She was not interested. She was like, no, I'm watching Dave and Ava. Sorry, Mom. But no, it was pretty touching, especially the huge plot twist for me was when the woman that she was talking with the whole time was her aunt and not her mom, and her mom was dead. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, that's sad. But now I'm like actually tearing
Thanks, M.
up.
Night Shyamalan.
I watched this movie with my daughter too, and she was not interested in watching it at the beginning. But as this movie went on, it kind of grew on her and she ended up liking it. But at the end, she turned to me and goes, "It was good, Daddy, but it wasn't the pacifier." So shout out to Connor and Luke at No Highway, because, man, I didn't even put that thought into her mind, and she immediately compared it to the pacifier, which is what I was kind of comparing it to as well. It's got that very Disney family movie feel, and it's a very middle of the road movie that I think, it's not super offensive. It's just kind of right down the middle.
Hey, Joe Kingman, you just won the championship, so what are you going to do now? I'm going to take my daughter home.
The whole football team shows up to support Peyton and Joe at the ballet recital, and support is a loosely worded word there because most of them were there to make fun of Joe, in my opinion.
Then they supported them.
That's true. That's
Just
true.
read the damn thing as I wrote it.
I'll start
Stick
over.
to the script.
The whole football team shows up to support Peyton and Joe at the ballet recital and are amazed by the performance. While at lunch, Peyton lets slip that her mom doesn't know she's with Joe. She ran away to meet him, and she has an allergic reaction to the nuts in her dessert, so Joe runs her to the hospital. Karen, Joe's ex-sister-in-law, the woman presumed dead, shows up to pick Peyton up, explaining that Joe's ex-wife died in a car accident 6 months earlier. Joe is depressed when Peyton leaves and plays like poop at the championship game, but then Peyton shows up to support him, and he wins.
Guys, this twist totally works for me. Like, this may be the best twist in a movie we do in 2007. And I'm not even speaking with hyperbole. Like, truly, I did not see this coming. And I thought it really worked for explaining the characters and their relationships.
The only reason I thought this twist worked was because I didn't care. For the entire time leading up to this, there's nowhere in the back of my mind, like, normally when you think about twists and complex stories, like we just did with Fracture, like that whole movie is building up to you kind of maybe figuring out what the twist is or how it all happened. And at no point during this movie did I go, they got something up their sleeve. So yeah, it worked because it tricked me, but I wouldn't call it the best twist.
See, and I disagree for that very reason. When I watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie, for instance, like I'm constantly expecting the twist. So then the twist never really shocks me because I've been guessing for the entire first 2 acts where this is going.
Even if you're wrong,
this one, it's like I was drawn into the story, and then all of a sudden, punch in the gut, mom's dead. I didn't expect it. And I just think that's super effective to do it that way, where you're not doing a twist because a twist is expected. You're doing a twist because it services the story.
Right. And especially the moment when Joe and Peyton are arguing and she screams out that she wants her mom and runs away. Thinking back on that, I felt even more emotion for this child because, oh shit, she doesn't have her mom. She's 8 years old. Fuck, that cuts me deep. And so I also was just along for the ride. I didn't have any expectations going into this movie. And so that kind of hit me hard to know that she's been talking to her aunt the whole time. Rachel, did you have any feelings about that?
Yeah, right now my whole brain is a little bit foggy about that aspect. And I'm just really angry at the aunt for getting mad at him for her eating nuts. Like, fuck you, bitch. Can I say that? Oh, how awful. I don't know. I just didn't like that part of it. But yeah, I agree with you, Emily, that thinking back, it was really hard to imagine, oh my gosh, all the feelings that little girl was having. And that was part of why it was so impactful at the end. I was ready to hate the movie in the first 30 minutes. And so that was one of the reasons why I was like, oh, damn, this was actually a good movie.
I completely agree with you, Rachel, because I think the first act is so weak in the setup, and the fact they have a twist that makes the entire movie work and saves it. I think that speaks volumes to the level of the twist it is. I'm not going to go to the same level as Ben and say this is going to be the best twist we're going to see in 2007, because I feel like the first act is set up so poorly. But I feel like it really works. And I also hated that like custody battle fight they had in front of her, in the hospital bed. I thought that was poorly timed. Didn't make sense, but.
Right. But everyone's emotions were high. Like, I understood it. I think thinking back to the first act, yes, I thought it was weak, but I also think they were really showcasing Joe as a character. Like, he didn't have a lot of depth to him. He was very superficial. And maybe I'm reading too much into this because I feel a little defensive about this movie for some reason. I don't know why. But the first act, was just introducing these two characters to each other, and they didn't really like each other. They were just there, and Peyton was really dedicated to learning about her dad because she had this emptiness that she wanted to fill. And then, you know, as we're building their relationship, this would have been a perfectly fine family movie. As we're seeing their relationship, it was cute, it was nice, it was heartwarming, fuzzies kind of feeling for me. But the added piece of the drama of her mom being dead, like I thought the whole throwaway of her aunt at the beginning of the movie, if my aunt's dead, you know, I can't go live with her. I was like, geez, holy shit. Like that just completely made me feel either worse about everything. And I felt so bad for Peyton, but also it made me go, shit, Peyton's a smart girl. Good job. You can trick your dad.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Act 1 is like riveting cinema by any means. I wonder those who are saying it's not a great start to the movie, like, what do you want? Like, what are you looking for in the start of this movie other than just establishing who these two characters are?
I am glad you set that up because I feel the reason Act 1 is so weak is because how she shows up on Joe Kingman's doorstep was very far-fetched to me. I felt like that could have been a little more detailed, a little more believable. I liked how one-dimensional Joe was. I felt like how selfish he was worked. And I liked a lot of him like reciting his own interviews and stuff like that on Sports Center. I thought that all worked, but just how she shows up on his doorstep and then he's scanning over her. It just none of that rang well for me in the first act.
It has to be that ambiguous introduction to Peyton or the twist doesn't work. You want them to fix it in the first act, but then the third act has no impact. Like you can't have it both ways. This first act has to be
you certainly
in the way
could.
she shows
Just
up. How
she shows up would be, you know, she could still offer the information. Her aunt was dead, and it's just like a car service drops her off at this hotel, and then the doorbell man lets her up, and there's just no guardian, there's no transfership, there could have been a better way he finds out he has a daughter is all I'm saying. I think all the information still works, but like that just didn't work for me.
Ben, I will say that if I went back and watched this movie again, I originally thought, oh, this is all so predictable. And it wasn't. And so now if I watched it again, I would have a different opinion of that first act.
Yeah.
However, that goofy white guy, I still have a distaste in my mouth. He still wouldn't make me laugh.
I can understand the distaste for the humor in the first act for sure. But to say that they need to change the introduction to Peyton, any change to the introduction to Peyton takes away the impact of that third act twist. And it has to be that way for it to work. Like you can't have all of a sudden like, oh, it's the aunt who drops her off because that changes the entire movie.
I didn't say that.
No, but you want an adult to drop her off. You want something where the child is not sneaking away. You want some elaborate scheme for this child to show up. It's a fucking like 8-year-old child showing up on someone's doorstep of their own volition. Like, what are you expecting this child to do? Like an elaborate plan to sneak into this guy's life?
Ben is very passionate.
I want some guardianship. I want some level of responsibility over this
guardianship
child.
would defeat the purpose of the twist, Matt.
No.
Yes.
No. Karen's off in Africa. Something could happen. Joe could find out about his daughter, and then the daughter forces the lie. It could be more intricately done. I didn't think I was going to have to defend this point because of how terrible the first act was. But literally, I'll come up with something by the end of the episode that makes this entire movie better.
The one thing I would like them to have changed with how Peyton gets introduced that doesn't change the story or any of the twist is how the doorman gets the Rock to allow the child up by telling the Rock that it's a hot girl or whatever words
it's a pretty young lady.
Yeah. Gross. Like that put a bad taste in my mouth before even knowing what the story was.
But also on brand for 2007. Like, let's be real.
You're not wrong there.
This movie would have been better if a stork delivered Peyton to his house. Okay,
get the fuck out of here. I need to stare at the mountains to calm myself down because
an animated stork shows up, and it's the only animated character in the movie.
Fuck you.
That's very Disney.
You know, I think I'd like that.
I was really impressed with the dance scene in this movie. especially the way that they kind of shot it as like a stage production. I thought it was very cool. I liked the reaction shots of the people in the audience, especially the big black guy who's like crying at the end, like that really fit with me. And I loved that dance scene.
I think for me, when watching the dance scene, I felt very reminiscent of my own theatrical productions or the ones that we've done at school. And so in the whole pandemic, I felt even more emotional in this movie. So they like really tugged at Emily's heartstrings over here. But also, I really enjoyed a lot of the dancing. Like I took ballet when I was a little kid and I always loved dancing, but I never was very good at it because I have noodle arms and whatnot. But I don't know. I thought it was really cute and I liked that it had a story and there was all these lighting effects. It just was really fun for me to watch all of their hard work pay off and have this as kind of the climax of Peyton and Joe kind of accepting their father-daughter relationship.
It sounds like you really just had a missed opportunity at being cast as Kermit.
Fuck you, Wesley.
Emily, I was going to say as well, like I was expecting that Joe Kingman was going to miss the recital. I thought that was going to be a breaking point in their relationship to be repaired in Act 3. To see it come to fruition and then to be like to have it pay off, I felt like that scene really worked because I think everybody was just expecting he was going to miss it, right?
I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah.
You know, he's stuck in traffic. He still loves his daughter. He wants to be there, but like it's representative of his character in Act 1.
That would have definitely fit the tropes of a movie like this where he would miss the big recital.
Right.
That was not what I was expecting. My big disappointment with the performance. The dance was beautiful. Everything was beautiful. However, the costume that he held up was much skimpier and much smaller than the costume he was actually wearing on stage. That was my huge disappointment.
You wanted to see the Rock's pebbles a little more.
Family friendly, whatever. But I was like, do something for us mamas.
So you must have loved the montage in the beginning with all of his sweat and his shirt off and everything.
Well, honestly, I was distracted because I didn't remember The Rock having hair. So I was
Thank you.
What the hell is that?
This is the second time we've done a Rock movie so far on this podcast, and that was one of my huge takeaways.
He had hair?
Yeah, you just totally forget that he has hair and that he's so much smaller, which, again, I know I said it at the beginning, it's hard to believe that he's a quarterback, and maybe that's partially just because I know what a beast he is now, but even in this tiny Rock body and with hair, not a quarterback.
Emily, you talked about getting emotional during the dance scene, and I'll tell you the part that I got emotional, and it's during a part of a movie that I normally hate, and that's a cast musical number at the end of a movie to kind of punctuate the credits. And I have to admit that I got super emotional in this one because I started to think about like, okay, why would you do a scene like this over the credits? And it's really just that idea of a company of actors like spending all this time together, and now they're just going to celebrate being done with their scene by singing together. And that got me really emotional. And I'm getting emotional now talking about it because I'm a little drunk. But just thinking about like when our play wraps with my students and like how happy we are at the end and how excited we are, and to just come together and just, you know, sing together. The last play we did, I directed about 7 years worth of musicals in some capacity with these students who were graduating. And for Mic Check the last night, I had them all perform songs from other musicals they've been in. And that's probably the highlight of my teaching career right now, because seeing those students who I'm going to cry.
No,
seeing the students who grew up in front of me and just kind of, fuck. Okay.
Just let it out, man. Let it out.
Vegas tears, baby. Vegas tears. Okay. But yeah, just seeing them grow up and seeing them call back to this time we had together that was even 5 years ago or 6 years ago for some of them, seeing them as little seventh graders, and now they're seniors going on to graduate. Like, I could feel the emotion of why a director would want to do that and pull his cast together like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to shit on anything you just said because that was very heartfelt and
shit
earnest.
on it.
But it still just seems like everyone that liked this movie, every reason that they have is not because of this movie. and maybe that's too generalizing, but most of the things that we're talking about here as being positives in this movie are not because of the script, not because of what actually was on screen. It was relating and getting at your emotion, which I guess is kind of what movies are supposed to do. But yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with expectation related to the genre of a movie you're watching. Like, I did not come into this movie expecting to see massive shots, huge crowd shots, cinematography, great editing. Like, I came in expecting a Disney family movie, and that's what they delivered for me. So my expectations were met. And because of that, I'm able to sit and enjoy the movie and say that I liked it.
Yeah, Wesley, probably shouldn't have told you that I liked it more than I thought I would before you watched it.
I don't think it would have changed anything for me.
Well, Wesley, you probably had tons of observations then. Do you want to give us some?
These are just a few of our incredible thoughts.
No, have you not been listening to my critiques? I didn't. There was nothing in this movie. So here's my critiques this week. Here's an observation. This sucked.
Wow.
Here's my second observation. Kira Sedgwick looks exactly like Amy Sedaris and maybe a little bit like Holly Hunter, and I will never not get them confused.
Fair. I know, Wesley, I'm sure you loved the Kira Sedgwick fart joke.
Here's another observation. Kira Sedgwick farts in this movie. Where's the Mr. Skins for that movie data?
Oh my God.
OMG.
I was going to say, that was my other crush developed in this movie. I respect a beautiful, strong woman who isn't afraid of fart.
Yeah.
Let her be human.
Absolutely, Rachel.
Oh my God.
All right, Ben. Did they?
Now, say my name.
Yeah, they said it. They at least said game plan. That, like, when they're talking about football, they reference game plan. But I've got a problem. And it's with Disney using titles of their movies where they just flippantly use the title without, like, hitting it. Gone, Baby, Gone fucking hammered that shit home. She's gone, baby. Gone. But game plan, it's like, oh, I'm just going to throw this random title in the middle of a sentence. Like, fuck you. Same thing with At World's End. Fucking hit it. If you're going to use it in the movie, fucking hit it. Don't give me this, game plan. Like, fuck you. Say, it's the game plan. Like, I want The Rock to say, it's the game plan. And then that to be the fucking title. Like, fuck you, Disney. Get your shit together.
Wow.
Wow.
Here I thought Ben loved this Disney family movie, and
I do. I love this
true
movie.
colors have been exposed.
No.
I have some movie math for all of you.
Math is a really cool thing. So get off your ass, let's do some math. Math.
It's really financial math because my thought was, first off, Joe Kingman was living a lavish lifestyle. And I was thinking, how is this child living with him going to affect all of his lavish living? Because that was part of it. So I did a little bit of math. And so I did have to do some research about football, which sucked. I'm not going to lie. That was like the worst part of this entire movie for me, was having to watch football. But because I figured, because Joe Kingman is really famous and all that, he should probably be making top end for his average salary. But I was also thinking he's probably been doing this 8 years, because that's when the letter from Peyton's mom was like, I didn't want to ruin your career because you were just starting off. So I kind of decided to go with the median quarterback salary. So the median quarterback salary is $1.1 million in 2007. And so then I was thinking, okay, well, what about the cost of a child? Cost of a child is about $300,000 from 0 to 17, which obviously is not going to be like the whole time. But because of his lavish lifestyle, I kept the $300,000. Then you got to think about, okay, well, he's probably going to pay for college for her and ballet school lessons. That's almost $300,000 in itself, because let's be honest, she's going to want to go to Juilliard for her ballet. And then I looked up the most expensive apartment in Boston, $30,000 a month. $30,000 a month. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And then I started thinking about, okay, well, we have to furnish this apartment. We have to figure out how we're paying for his agent. But basically, after all of that, and after all of his taxes, and after his nightclub, not talking about him making any money, just spending money on his nightclub, he is going to have negative $565,300 left, meaning he's in the red.
Matt, can you summarize this movie quickly, please?
The less you do, the more you do. Let's see it pop up. Pop it up. That's not it at all.
Baby daddy says that baby don't even look like me. And yet it actually does kind of look like him. He wins the big game and he becomes a baby father.
Wow.
Miss Rachel, do you have a review for us?
You could probably skip the first 30 minutes to get to the meat of the movie. If it's not really what you're expecting in this movie, you're going to be hit with some real shit and you're going to feel something by the end of the movie.
And then do you have a rating for it?
Oh my gosh, I do have a rating for it. And I was really nervous that someone was going to steal my rating or do the same rating. I would give it 7.5 people's elbows out of 10.
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
7.5. That's a
7.5.
That's good.
This half, I imagine, is when you go to give the people's elbow, but someone like stops you and blocks you and puts you
interferes
down
or
on
spears
yeah,
you.
for sure.
Yeah,
Hits you with
yeah.
a chair.
Do you want to explain for the
No, everybody
person
gets it.
that
The
is
Rock
super
was a
confused?
wrestler.
I know that.
Back when the WWE was the WWF, The Rock used to wear only underwear and run around in a ring and take people down. He also had the people's eyebrow, which, oh my gosh, I cannot do.
Isn't that on the cover of your book?
Just really appreciate it. It is on the cover. That was my second rating. I was going to say 75% people's eyebrow was my second rating.
Yeah, Emily, the people's elbow was The Rock's special move where he would...
He pulled off his elbow pad. He did this like arm swish thing. And then he kind of went from rope to rope. And then in the middle, he landed his elbow on his opponent. And it was just perfect.
I appreciated all of that miming, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I practiced.
But it was no stunner, you know? It was no stone cold stunner.
That's because the people's elbow was all sizzle, no steak. Like, the people's elbow doesn't hurt people. It's just an elbow drop. The stunner looks like it would fucking hurt someone if you did it in, like, real life. If I tried to stun Matt right now, his ass would be knocked out for a day.
Well, now it is time to play Sports Game of Football. I will do 3 touchdowns of questions to our less than rockspurts, let them try to tackle me, and then the winner gets to hang out with their new daughters. The winner of each round will get 1 point after attempt. Second place gets a safety done on them, so they don't get any points, and they also lose possession. It's very embarrassing. I will be more easily pass intercepted by the more encroachment and horse collar tackled answers. So fucking huck it, chuck it, football. Get it? Woo!
Zach and Mary make a porno. Let's go.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy you got that.
Woohoo!
That's probably one of my favorite parts of that movie. Fucking huck it, chuck it, football. All right, so question 1. Athletes notoriously have to scrape by paycheck to paycheck. So often they are forced to outsource themselves and appear internationally in commercials. So with a given product from your opponent, please describe the Japanese commercial that Joe Kingman stars in. And we're going to start with Matt, Ben, you're going to give Matt a product.
Matt, you're going to get a widely used Japanese product, which is a noiseless karaoke microphone.
Do you want to explain what a noiseless what is that?
A noiseless karaoke microphone would be a microphone that you can sing into, but instead of projecting your voice, it dampens your voice so that no one can hear you singing karaoke at all, not even yourself.
Wow.
It's for people who love karaoke, but have common noise complaints from their neighbors.
Is this a real product?
This is a real product.
All right, Matt, you've got 1 minute.
Good luck.
Let's hear some of those diary entries.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. We're talking somewhere around April 27th, 1997.
Wow.
I was 5.
Imagine Rachel sitting in her bedroom watching WWF pink carpet, one of those big tube TVs in my room, watching WWF, hanging on every word. I wrote, I love The Rock, the Brahma Bull, baby. And I drew a picture of the Brahma Bull with his eyebrow, giving the people's eyebrow. I don't know if you guys know this, but since 2007, The Rock has actually covered up his tattoo with a different tattoo. He does not have a Brahma Bull tattoo anymore. And in the movie, I was shocked and impressed at how well his tattoo was covered up. I don't know if you guys noticed.
I don't know what his tattoo was.
It was the Brahma Bull. Here, look at my screen. I have a picture of it.
Yeah, it's a bull.
It's a Brahma Bull. It kind of looks
Brahma?
like Chicago Bulls, the basketball team logo. It looks similar.
And that is about a minute. So,
Oh
Matt,
my God. This is bad.
you got more than a minute. So I'm
Oh,
expecting
this is
some
bad,
gold
folks.
here. All right, Matt. So describe the commercial that Joe Kingman is in for what is it again, Ben?
Noiseless karaoke microphone.
That. Go ahead.
Hey, folks. Joe Kingman here. Insert anime reaction. Nani? I love to sing, but guess what? My neighbors hate it. And then it shows him, don't go chasing waterfalls, listen to, and then we cut away and we see him in the window just passionately singing, and you don't hear anything. And you cut back to another anime reaction, and then it's just them saying, hi, and then that's the end of the commercial. Joe Kingman's noiseless karaoke microphone. Oh my God, that is difficult to come up with.
I have a question.
Shoot.
I figured
Just
I would
one?
let Rachel ask if she has any questions first.
Well, I have a critique more than a question.
That's bad news.
Why don't you, Rachel, why don't you save that critique?
Okay.
We'll use that during the judgment.
So, Matt, I want you to describe what an anime reaction is, because you said anime reaction twice, and I was like, what do you mean by anime reaction? So,
Okay, so my wife just started teaching 7th grade English, and all of the boys absolutely love Naruto.
oh my God.
Naruto.
Oh my God. Shut the fuck up.
Naruto.
Naruto.
So anyway.
Oh my God. I gotta go, you guys.
You gotta go. I'm the first Battle of Twits that made the guest leave and discuss. Picture the extreme close-up, extreme reaction of the eyes. And that's an anime reaction.
There are so many anime reactions, but I guess that helps, Matt. Thank you.
Arigato.
You know, the expression A for effort really comes to mind. Let's go to Ben. So, Matt, what product are you giving to Ben?
I think my product needs a little less description, and I feel like that should earn me points. But my product for Ben is the Godzilla humidifier.
Well, I'm very excited to hear Rachel's next diary entry about The Rock.
Diary entry number 2. First, I want to give 2 small facts about this movie. The first is that this was the last movie that The Rock had his name credited as Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Second, this is where he met his wife, current wife, Lauren Hashian. I think that's her name. I don't know how to pronounce it. On set. As for diary entries, here we go. It's a quote from WWF, and it says, and back to Mick Foley, a man who's given his blood, sweat, and tears for the past 15 years in this business, the very business in which The Rock grew up in. 2-time WWF team champions with The Rock, 3-time WWF champion, a family man. Absolutely not. The Rock is not happy about that. A man like Mick Foley is fired over a candy-ass stipulation like that, and you make no mistake about it, jabroni. Don't you ever, and The Rock means ever, come at The Rock and ask him a question like that again, or else The Rock will knock your teeth so far down your throat you'll have to stick a toothbrush up your ass just to brush them. And that's where I fell in love.
And Rachel, that was like the moment, the quote that you had to just like furiously scribble in your journal.
I did. I was like, oh, yes, I will remember this forever. If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
That was great. And that was perfectly timed, too. Ben, how is Joe Kingman going to be in a commercial for a Godzilla humidifier, that thing that we all know?
It starts with Joe Kingman running through the streets with crowds of Japanese people around him. And they're all shouting, Godzilla, Godzilla! As Godzilla is trampling the city. But then Godzilla goes to breathe out. And what comes out is just water vapor because he is spraying the city with water vapor. And Joe Kingman turns to the camera and he says, if you're feeling under the weather, throw on this Godzilla humidifier. The only thing it will destroy is the dry air within your room. Your home is safe, I promise. And that's it. That's all I had.
I have another critique.
Perfect.
We both deserve to be torn to shreds here.
Mine at least is a story.
I mean, I underestimated how much alcohol I drank because, like, I looked up and my time was over and I was like, oh.
Matt's drinking time travel tequila.
Feels like it.
Ben, this isn't from your answer, but I would like to hear what your anime reaction is.
To the Godzilla humidifier?
Yeah.
It's,
That sounded a little bit like, what is it?
Tim Allen, Home Improvement. Yeah.
Japanese Tim Allen.
Just with a Japanese twist, yeah.
Question 2. Time to put you on the spot. No prep was allowed for this question. You are being interviewed. You just won the big game. What are you going to do next? Ben?
Oh man, I tell you what, I'm gonna go out to that Boston market. And I'm gonna get me a whole chicken because god damn, I'm hungry. Man, football makes me so hungry. I'm gonna get me a chicken. I'm gonna eat that whole fucking thing, and I'm gonna get me some macaroni and cheese and some mashed potatoes. It's gonna be so good. But like that's just a short term goal. Like I got long term goals as well, man. Like I want to, I think I might start reading. I think I'm gonna read a book. I got all these books lying in my house because they're really pretty to look at. But I don't think I've read a book in like 15 years, man. I'm gonna start with those Wimpy Kid books, man. That Greg Heffley, man. I saw those movies, man, and they're so funny, man. Greg Heffley, man. I know there's 15 of them, and it's gonna take me a couple of years to read them, but I'm gonna fucking read them, man. They're gonna be real good, man. You know what I'm saying, man? And I think I'm gonna play hockey. I think I want to play hockey. Coach always said that football is the hardest thing you're ever gonna do, and so I just know I can play hockey because I play football. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to play hockey. I can't skate, and I don't know what that little ball is called. It's like the black urinal cake looking fucker. I'm gonna slap shot that thing all the way to the goal, and I'm gonna be the champion.
All right, we have to cut over to the opposing team. I guess not the opposing team. We'll call this the next year. You just won the big game. What are you going to do next, Matt?
Well, I want to thank the city of Boston. Sometimes when you go out there and you start throwing footballs, you start to forget about the people. But I'm just happy to bring it home to the people of Boston and those hardworking folks that drove their car to the stadium today. I just want to say thank you. You guys are the real champions. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with my daughter. We're going to take her down. We're going to go to Disney World, and I'll tell you what, we're going to take over the world together because I love her now. And you know what's better than football? My daughter. And it's just actually weird that you're not interrupting me to ask me any more questions because I feel like you wanted to know more about the game. But let me tell you something. I love my family, and there's this ballet teacher that I'm kind of into, but maybe I'm taking a little too fast at this point. But I just want to go ahead and say I'm happy that I won the big game, and I love my daughter, Peyton. Thank you. Go football. Go Rebels.
That went from a Boston accent to very Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
It went from Boston to JFK, and then at the end it was Australian.
Yeah, I'm not a professional, guys, okay?
Wow. I thought that was ambitious that you chose a Boston accent in the beginning.
Was fantastic.
I gotta be true to the story.
It says you, Matt, are being interviewed, so.
Oh, shit.
Well, it doesn't matter. Ben did a southern accent for some reason.
I didn't.
And then he went to Boston Market with a southern accent. I was like, I can't have him taint my thoughts, and I took off my microphones.
I think by the nature of that question just being 1 minute, I don't really want to do any follow-ups. Since this movie is obviously a classic, it's time to dip into our own Disney vault. No, not that one, Ben.
I don't know what that means.
Sometimes when I write these, I like to try and guess at what the future reactions are going to be, and I assume that you would make a face. But question 3 this week is going to be going back to one of our old favorites of pitching a reboot, prequel, or sequel for the game plan. So, Matt, you're going to start us off for question 3.
I chose a sequel. It's called The Campaign. Joe Kingman is now running for Congress, and as the saying goes, never say no. It's a tight race in Boston for the 9th congressional seat. His football career is over, and now he wants to become a politician to help the working families in Boston by primarying the evil corporate-owned incumbent. The sequel would be able to quickly and efficiently catch us up on his career in the first 15 minutes, in which he retired after an injury in the following season. A young new quarterback was able to outperform him and replace him, and because of that, because he's found football is no longer his number one love, he's able to graciously transition into retirement and become a wonderful single father. He tries his hand at a few other careers like sportscaster, car dealership owner, and he's horrible at them. Running for Congress would become another come to Jesus moment for Joe, in which he could further develop his character and show how far he's come from being so selfish. His ex-sister-in-law is still very much in his life, like a best friend character who helps take care of his daughter. Karen and her husband, who we would meet, and he'd be played by Paul Rudd, would play the comic relief and the people he comes to for life advice. Joe is single in this movie, and it would be a romantic comedy, The Rock's first romantic comedy, in which he falls in love with his campaign manager, played by Mila Kunis, who would be named Sarah. And it's a real will they, won't they love story in which Peyton pulls a few parent trap moves in order to try to get them together. The story would ultimately come to a head when Joe and his campaign manager are caught stealing a first kiss by his political opponent, and a major scandal breaks right before the vote. Everyone believes that he's lost and that Sarah's career is now over. He gives a speech in which he apologizes to everyone, accepts responsibility. And on the night of the vote, his opponent gloats. Sarah is nowhere to be found, and the family tries to console Joe. But the results start to come in, and he finds out the people actually found his newfound love, makes him more humanizing. He wins the primary against the evil corporate shill. He gets the girl, and the credit sequence shows through photo montage that he goes on to win the seat. He gets married to Sarah, and he starts to help the people he represents.
So you named her Sarah after his ex-wife, who's dead, Sarah?
It's spelled differently. I didn't think about it. It's S-A-R-A.
Yep, that's how it's spelled in the movie too.
H.
Yeah, you didn't let him finish.
Let me finish. I for real, that entire element slipped my brain. Oh, fuck.
I don't think there's a problem with marrying the next lover with the same name.
You can have a type.
Thanks, guys.
I think it's really important to know who you imagine playing his opponent, the incumbent.
Bob Odenkirk would be the evil opponent. And then his daughter would be played by like Millie Brown, whatever, from Stranger Things. 16-year-old girl, you know, some time has passed, so she's a little bit older.
Wait, The Rock's daughter?
Yeah, the Rock's daughter. This isn't overnight. You know, it's not like the next day, so she's a little bit older now. She's like 15.
And not black?
Or Hawaiian?
Listen.
Maybe, how about the girl like who's Moana, whatever her name is?
That's a cartoon character.
Yeah, but the actual person.
God.
So Matt, my question is more like real life. I guess I don't really understand why Joe and his campaign manager hooking up as a major scandal. I don't actually know.
I think it's a conflict, like it would be like a professional faux pas / I'm pretty sure I've seen that happen in TV before. Because like that would be bad news, you know?
Bad news bears. All right, thanks, Matt.
I think we grilled Matt enough. That might be a little bit over the line for some of those, because we really held him to the fire there, knowing that he's drunk. So, Ben, let's hear your reboot, prequel, sequel.
Yeah, so I'm going to preface this by saying I wrote this at 2 a.m. last night after drinking heavily.
Oh my God, I already forgot.
I have not reread this since then, so I'm going to try to read it in the same voice that I wrote it in. So let's see how this goes. This movie needs a sequel, and frankly, there aren't enough movies about competitive ballet. So my movie will fix both of those things. The focus will be entirely on Peyton as she attends dance college at Ballet University. It's super competitive there, what with all the good dancers. But Peyton feels she has the upper foot because her dad's Joe Kingman. But that can only get you so far in life, and it doesn't guarantee you the lead in the big spring review. So Peyton works harder than she ever has before to learn the steps and pirouette to the top of her class. Her time in school is not without distraction, though, because there's a cute boy dancer named Blair who likes Peyton, but he's dating the star of the ballet team, Blair. What is Peyton to do? It doesn't help that Blair is a major B. Or are they? Now, I bet you're wondering, when does The Rock show up? He doesn't. He died several years earlier from CTE. But also, he kind of does show up, because the twist is that he's been given a new host body, that of the head teacher of the ballet school, Angel La, played by Zoe Saldana. And he can achieve angelhood if he guides Blair to true happiness and success. Talk about a conflict of interest. Or is it? The title of my movie is Ballangel.
Oh my God.
Is it a conflict of interest?
I don't know. Or is it? Which Blair was I talking about?
Oh my God. I need to know what kind of frame of mind you were in last night. Did you win money last night or did you lose money?
I lost money.
I hate drunk loser Ben.
So there are two Blairs in this movie. One is the cute boy love interest and the one who's the competitive dance ballet star of it. And Dad, Joe Kingman, dead as an angel, is possessing this ballet teacher to help Blair, the star of the ballet, versus his own daughter.
Well, that's ambiguous. We're kind of not cued into what his goal is. We don't know which Blair he's trying to help.
So he's could be helping Blair, the cute boy, to either
he could be helping Blair or Blair
fuck his daughter or fuck Blair.
Well, I mean, no, it's not about. For the male Blair, it would not be about getting him laid. It would be about making him a success, whatever success and true happiness means for him. You know,
definitely.
Who am I to say as the writer? But it's whatever true happiness and success is for the Blair.
Well, I think we can conclude that you should not switch up your writing style.
Man, I don't know. That was better than I thought it was going to be.
It wasn't bad.
I have to remember that answer. Be like, as the writer, who am I to say what this character's motivations were?
This was one of the harder ones to judge in a while because they were
so good.
Yes. So we're going to start with the judgment for question 2. Question 2 was the improv for a minute about what you're going to do after you win the big game. I am still dumbfounded that you both picked up accents. I absolutely loved it. They were hilarious. I love both of your answers. I have to say that up front. They were very funny. And what it really came down to was, Ben, you really described you answered the question. What are you going to do next? Going to Boston Market, eating some chicken, but that's only short term. Long term, I'm going to start reading. The whole hockey stuff was very funny as well. What the ball is called in hockey? That's good. Matt, you went a little more meta with it and more described the experience of being interviewed, which still was good. And the accent really carried it for me the whole time. Starting that people forget about the people and all the people who drove their cars to the stadium. They're the true heroes. And then just the evolution of the accent from Boston to JFK to Australian. And
I hated that.
I believe that the quote was "Thank you, football." But since Ben actually answered the question a little more thoroughly, I'm giving that one to Ben. Then question 3, the reboot, prequel, sequel. Matt, your answer was The Campaign, which is already a movie title. Never Say No is a terrible campaign motto. What you did do really well, and I think your strongest point of this, was saying that Joe no longer has football as his first love because he has Peyton now. I thought that was very heartwarming, and I thought that was a really good choice for a character motivation. You also really nailed the casting, other than Millie Bobby Brown, which kind of came afterwards, but I don't think was prompted. So I don't know how to feel about that either. But you do tend to, on these kind of questions, give too much detail to where it takes away from what the detail of the movie is. Ben,
Did I give too much detail?
Ben, I still don't know what the fuck is going on.
What do you mean? It's very clear. It's basically center stage. Did you not get that? You motherfucker.
Rachel, what did you say?
I believe that I said that this is very on brand for Disney as a sequel, prequel, sequel, whatever Emily called it.
I'm still kind of unclear about what the plot of Ben's movie was.
I said I hated it.
Clear.
I haven't seen Center Stage, and we also take a lot of credit away from Matt when he uses a movie as the whole core of his pitch. So that even if I did know,
Matt makes it so obvious. Like mine was just subtly Center Stage, but there's also like an angel subplot because it's also like Heaven Can Wait. So like my movie is like super original and it fits so well into this universe. And did you hear that he died of CTE? Like, talk about being topical.
So that one's going to Matt.
Fuck!
Finally, question 1. You both really did not give each other a very good chance here. So I guess a good job on choosing the product.
And Rachel has some great critiques. What was your critique for Matt's karaoke?
Yeah, my critique is you use Waterfalls by TLC. Don't go chasing waterfalls. What the fuck were you thinking? We're talking about The Rock. I would have used an Elvis song.
Oh, shoot.
No contest. It would have been an Elvis song.
Missed opportunity there.
Quick disclaimer, I wasn't thinking.
And then what was your critique for Ben's?
Why? Why? What the hell? What? Why? It didn't make any sense, Ben. Why didn't The Rock have something to do with this humidifier breath? Like, why was he just standing there? Why did he have humidifier? It didn't make any goddamn sense.
First of all, it's not The Rock, it's Joe Kingman. Let's set the record straight that I clearly said Joe Kingman in my answer.
I'm pretty sure
I was
in the
on
beginning
brand.
of this podcast, I said I will always and forever refer to him as The Rock, no matter
Whether
what
it's
his
character
name.
name or not.
I put Joe Kingman within a Godzilla movie. That's what I did. I created just an atmosphere of Godzilla.
You created nothing. He was just standing there.
No, he ran. He was
do
running with the
anything.
Japanese people, and then he stopped because he realized Godzilla's not a harm to him. He's helping. He's a
He's
good
like,
Zilla.
buy this product. I'm here by Godzilla. It didn't make any sense. I hated it. Hated it.
This is critique time, not rebuttal time. So also, I kind of disagree. I think that it was a commercial. So I don't think that Joe Kingman really needed to have a plot stake in why he was running from Godzilla. Matt, you made an attempt at comedy with all of the anime references, which I think were kind of funny. They were the shining spot of your answer for me. But that's just because there also wasn't a whole lot else. You basically took what Ben explained to you as the product and said, this is the commercial. The Godzilla humidifier, I like the visual of it running through the streets of Japan. Like, you just kind of made it a Godzilla thing, which if you have a Godzilla humidifier, then yeah, your commercial is going to be about a Godzilla scene, something that happens in those Godzilla movies. And what really put me over was the only thing he will destroy is the dry air in your room. So Ben is taking question 1, meaning that he wins this one 2-1.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
My vote was not for Matt, but against Ben.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was having trouble, and at the very end of our discussion, Rachel just goes, my vote is just always against Ben.
Fair.
if that helps you at all. And I was like, well, no.
If there was ever a time to have no winners, I feel like this was probably the episode. Just want to say thank you again, Rachel, for being on the show. It was wonderful to have you on and to hear about your rock fandom and to get inside of your mind and diary.
Rachel, can you tell us one last thing about your love for The Rock?
What's your favorite part of him?
Well, what era rock do you enjoy the most?
No, I don't care about that. She likes WWF rock. What part of him?
No,
mind?
I would say I've really matured in my taste for The Rock. And as he has grown and matured over the years, he really grows and matures with me. And my favorite part of The Rock is really his generosity and his, passion for life and his ass, and also his humanitarianism.
I like your priorities, though.
Beautiful. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we bid the audience goodbye, Rachel?
This was great. I appreciate you guys having me on. Also,
thank you so much for being
here. It was wonderful to have you.
It was wonderful to have you. And to everyone listening, it was also wonderful to have you guys listen all the way through. And if you haven't left, be sure to subscribe, rate, share, and share it with your friends. Thank you so much. And be sure to follow us on social media, IDYP_podcasts. Ben, can you tell us a little bit about our next movie?
Yeah, we are continuing our Disney month, and our next movie is National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. And we'll be having on Aubrey and Emily from the National Treasure Hunt podcast, which is a podcast entirely about the National Treasure franchise. So we're going to have real experts on next week, folks.
Yes,
let's get ready.
Excuse me. I think I am a real expert.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rachel. I did not mean that as a slight against you.
No, Rachel's definitely a real expert on The Rock. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.